Welcome back to my channel where we give it to you straight, unfiltered and uncensored. Literally, I don't give a toss, innit? So you know what time it is.
Wave again. You already don't know. Wave again.
The Chris Kaba shooting has ignited a conversation about the challenges black people face in the UK. Did Chris have a criminal history? Yes. Did Chris have a history of violence? Yes, he did. However, Chris was not the first, nor will he be the last person in the UK to have a past which is checkered by crime and violence.
Show me your hands! Show me your hands!
Chris was unarmed when he was shot in the head, and the fact of the matter is that Chris deserved his day in court like every other resident of this country. Should every person with a criminal history or a history of violence be shot in the head? Of course not. Killing Chris was not the only option on the table. British police have captured far more dangerous criminals without firing a single shot, and I struggle to understand why Chris had to be killed and denied his day in court. Is this the first time something like this has happened? No. Will this be the last time something like this happens? Of course not. So my question to the black people watching this is, why are you surprised?
What?
From the Chris Kaba shooting, the consistent complaints about immigration, and the refusal of the government to pay reparations, the message is as clear as day.
This man's life has been ruined by this incident that happened during him doing his ordinary day job. And so where is the sympathy for him? And I just don't understand why the politicians you've talked about there are sympathetic to a man who we know has been a menace on the streets, and not to an honest, decent police officer.
I do find it a bit odd that they are, knowing Chris, as they must, ramping up this idea that, you know, this guy was a bit of an angel. I mean, he wasn't really.
No, we know he's not.
Yeah.
His record shows that he's not. The criminality that he was involved in says that he's not.
The definition of madness is actually doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different outcome each time. Black people have been protesting, marching and campaigning for decades, and the outcome is always the same. At what point do we stop begging for a seat at the table and go out there and build our own table? Because the system is never going to change, and the reality of the situation is that Great Britain is not our country. It doesn't matter if you were born in the UK. In the eyes of the system, we're all immigrants, and that's not going to change. Black people actually need to focus on developing their own countries where we as black people can police ourselves in a fair and equitable manner. If you think about it, why would you stay in a toxic or abusive relationship? If you are in a toxic or abusive relationship, the simple thing is to leave. It's the obvious thing to do. And it's a surprise, the fact that black people haven't left this abusive relationship. And this is exactly what's making the abuse so much worse. Chris is not the first black person to be killed by the police or die in custody. I doubt if he's going to be the last. All we need to do now is start making plans to go back to our countries, whether that's in Africa or in the Caribbean, because this thing is done. It's pretty much done. It's played out. It's lame. It's old. We've been singing this song from the same hymn book for years. We've been singing this song for years. Nothing is going to change. And the reason why it keeps happening is because the world knows that black people are always going to stick it out. We're going to stay in there. We're going to hang in there and see it all the way through.
What?
And I know for a fact that all the black people went out there and voted Labour. But what did you get? Nothing. The same people you voted for won't even consider reparations. But you voted for them. But they won't consider it. So why are we still sticking it out? Get at me in the comments. You know what time it is.